Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for this exclusive roundtable discussion with our amazing Cleveland State coaches. My name is Billy Hartman, and I'm the Assistant AD for Communications here at Cleveland State. And before we begin, I just wanted to let you all know a few things. So we have 4 groups going tonight with 3 to 4 coaches per group. They'll each answer a question that's posed to the entire group, and then they'll answer a question that's specific to each coach, some asked by the fans. So I'm pretty excited. I hope you are too. How about we get right to it? So our first group tonight, it includes Coach Dennis Gates from our men's basketball team. He's a head coach there. Coach Tanisha Ubi-Parapovich from our men's soccer program. And Coach Vicky Bensman Maharaj, who's an assistant coach on our women's tennis team. I'm very excited to have them all join me here. So we will start their videos. All right. All right, I see them. I see you, coaches. How are you doing tonight?
Great.
Doing good.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. So the first question that I have, it goes to all 3 of you. So each of you competed collegiately in your sport. Coach Ubi Parapovich, you even played professionally. So what was the transition like going from a player to a coach? We'll start with you, Coach Gates.
Oh wow. Okay. Can I defer to the lady of the group?
Absolutely.
I have manners. I have manners, Billy.
That's right. That's right.
All right, I guess I can't defer, huh? Yeah, so the transition from student athlete to coach, particularly in my case, I went from being a student athlete to actually coaching some of my fellow teammates. My senior year, I shared co-captainship with my other fellow senior, and I feel like my teammates already had that sort of seen me in that coaching role. So that was kind of easy on that aspect. I would like to say, though, that it wasn't the easiest thing. I wasn't able to do all the same things that I once did with my team. And actually, my doubles partner and best friend was still on the team. So it was pretty hard to distance myself. However, that was only for a little time, and now it's obviously completely different. I would say that the transition has been fairly easy, speaking in coaching terms. I remember being a student athlete pretty vividly, so I think I know what makes certain athletes tick, as well as I think I can still relate to them, and I know what they're going through on a daily basis. I also received a psychology degree at Cleveland State, and that's actually come in handy when handling and speaking to these talented young women that are actually still developing. But it's been a very rewarding experience, and I love to see all these athletes rise to occasions and grow into amazing people.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I guess Coach Gates or Coach Ubi Parapovich, which one of you would like to go next?
I was just trying to be polite, Billy. I'm sorry.
You do have your manners, Coach.
Sorry to put you out there, Coach. I apologize. But for me, Billy, I first want to say, my heart's out to anyone out there who has any issues or had battles with COVID-19. Hope all is well with family, friends, loved ones, and obviously all our programs. But my transition was easier than I thought it would be. I was lucky enough to be in a leadership role as a player. And while I was trying to pursue a career professionally, I ended up being offered a position to coach unexpectedly. And that was an unbelievable opportunity. So I had on one hand to try to go down the road of playing professional sports. And then on the other, I had the opportunity to, coach in professional sports. And Dennis Johnson and Alvin Gentry presented me with an opportunity. It was too good to pass up on. Here I am, 22 years old, as a player development coach in the NBA. And that was something I could not pass up. It was a fork in the road, a tough decision, but the people that prepared me taught me how to sift through and make the best decision for the long term. The difficulties that coach just spoke of, I was 22 years old, and obviously most coaches in the NBA at that time is a lot older, and I couldn't fit in as a golfer or, in the dope part, but I had to separate myself from the players, and I had to make sure that I protected my coaching dream. And I did that just with the help of some guidance from my mentors. And it was interesting. So I definitely applaud the question. That's a great question. But I thank you again for having us.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. And now finally, Coach Ibi Parapovich, how about you? And you played professionally again. So what was that transition like?
I mean, these are some good answers, to be honest with you, by both coaches. So it's going to be tough to follow for me, but I'll do my best. First and foremost, I hope everybody's safe and healthy at home, and thank you for having us. I think this is awesome, to have a sort of discussions like this. To answer the question, transition. I guess I'll say the same thing as Coach Gates. It was easier than I thought it would be. Especially always playing soccer since youth and ending up at the professional ranks. And early on, I didn't think about coaching, to be honest with you. But as I was getting older, it interests me more and more, in a sense. And especially the last 4 or 5 years of my playing career, I really started to get into it a little bit. And having mentors and coaches that took Mexico to the World Cup, Juan Carlos Osorio, and another coach, Hans Backe was assistant coach with Man City, Jesse Marsh, who's now with the head coach with Red Bull Salzburg, just to name a couple of guys, couple of mentors, not to include players that I played with that played at the highest level possible, and just talking to them how it's done at their respective clubs and previously, and how the communication piece. And I think it also helped me gaining the coaching licenses as well. That kind of propelled me in a soccer coach's terminology sense, because sometimes the vocabulary that you use as a player is nowhere near as broad as coaches, and you have to make sure that your communication with your players is honest, and they have to understand what exactly you want from them. So from that perspective, I thought the transition was somewhat smooth, but I'm a young coach. I have a lot to learn, and I'm willing to learn in whatever it takes to get to the next level, I guess.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing. You each have very unique stories, and I'm sure it's very beneficial to all of our student athletes. So thank you for sharing. Now into some individual questions, and we'll start with Coach Bensman Maharaj. So you played collegiate tennis. You traveled around playing tennis. What advantage does it give the Viking tennis team to have an on-campus indoor facility?
Yeah, that's a good question. So up until 4 or 5 years ago, we didn't have an indoor facility on campus. But this has played just an essential role in the growth of our program. And actually, up until this year, we were the only school in the Horizon League to have our own facility on campus. So it's given the opportunity for our athletes to obviously have more accessible court time and involve, as it gives them the ability to prioritize their time with studies and tennis. Like I said, 4 or 5 years ago, we were actually driving about an hour to and from practice. So time is very precious for a student athlete. So, gaining that hour back, they can work on other stuff on the court, or they can go home and study for a big test. So that's really been a huge advantage. It's also given us the opportunity to recruit talent that we once weren't able to. Having a facility on campus is a huge selling point to prospective students. And lastly, our indoor facility has given them the most rewarding experience, in my opinion, being so accessible to our athletic family to come and watch, as well as our whole student body. I feel like our tennis players are able to finally play and perform in front of their support system. And I know it means the world to them to see familiar faces in the crowd. So thanks everyone for all the support.
Well, thank you for that amazing answer. So now let's move on over to Coach Ubi Parapovic. Coach, this question is coming from a fan. What characteristics of a soccer player stick out to you most?
I'd say body language and the overall attitude and approach towards training and games. I think you can tell a lot by a player's interaction on the field with other players. But I'll tell you what, every once in a while, some of the best players have the worst attitudes. Once you reach and find those kind of players, and you're able to make a connection with them and start working on improving those pieces, then you get a complete player. But early on, that's one of the things that obviously, besides the ability, you have to also ability of a player, to understand the game and play it the proper way. But other than that, it's the overall attitude.
Awesome. And Coach Gates, last but certainly not least, I have two questions for you, actually.
Oh, wow.
The first being, you had your first official practice today of the 2020-21 season.
Yes.
How was it?
Well, it was amazing. And I say that because, I just can think back on March 13th when we were pretty much shut down in quarantine, and we never knew that this day was going to come, as the schedule and the NCAA have constantly and consistently changed whatever the requirements. So although it took a lot of courage from our student athletes, it took a lot of work from our socialization committee, and I thank all of them for their grace, their patience, and the hard work that went into getting us to this moment. So, it was unbelievable. It was a lot of energy. It was the first time our entire group got together. So it was one of those, moments that I wish I could bottle up, because it reminded me of, sort of like a Christmas morning type of feel where everyone's excited to be there. We knew the countdown. We had to make sure we were going to remain in the unbelievable, protocol that was required. And that's, making sure that our guys remain safe and not positive on any kind of COVID test. So our guys, as we were waiting for our results from our tests on Monday, we got to go ahead, and it was exciting. So my hat's off to our team and the young people who are enduring this moment. They have done an unbelievable job. They were patient, and it's a change, right? It's one of those changes where their world is getting flipped upside down in terms of behavioral patterns and socialization on campus. And my hat's off to my guys. They've done an unbelievable job.
Yeah, Coach, I was there obviously today at practice, and it was great to see the guys back on the court. But let's move from the court to the community for the second question. You and your staff have been very proactive in educating your players over the importance of voting and the voting process. Yeah. So for those who don't know, can you talk a little bit about what you and your staff have done to prepare the guys for this upcoming election?
Yeah. So we went out. We wanted to take it a step further, not only register and make sure our guys were registered, but we wanted to educate them and hopefully build a bridge to what a polling experience would look like. So we took our guys to the polls and had a field trip where we ended up going to the Cuyahoga Board of Elections. And voting is a fascinating process, Billy. After we peel back all the historical inequalities that surrounds it, the country has made progress, okay? And for us, we wanted to make sure our kids exercised their right, but eliminated the fears along to go with being a first-time voter. So it was remarkable. We were able to not only go behind the scenes, but we hosted here in Cleveland at the Cleveland Clinic. Our city hosted the first presidential election. So I wanted them guys to go down there, see what the hoopla looked like. So we took a double field trip down there, took pictures in front of the I would say, the arena of where the debate was going to be at. And, you know, it was just making sure that these guys were educating themselves, but also helping as adults to bridge the gap. So it was great.
Well, thank you, Coach, for educating the guys over this important issue of voting, and thank you, Coach Benjamin Maharaj and Coach Ubi Parpovich, for taking some time tonight to chat with us. It was very much appreciated. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to you three so we can introduce our next set of coaches. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great night.
Thank you, Billy.
Thanks for having us.
So as we introduce our next set of coaches here, while some members of our great staff are moving them into panelists, I will be doing this a couple times tonight, but it's a shameless plug. Follow us on social media at CSU_athletics, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Give us a little like or follow. It'd be very much appreciated by me. That is for sure. So as we introduce our next three coaches, awesome coaches. They are the first one's from our men's and women's swimming and diving team, Coach Hannah Brandt. We will also be joined by our head coach for the cross country program, Coach Jason Hudson, as well as our head women's golf coach, Taylor Riggs. Coaches, how are we tonight?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having us.
I'm doing very well.
Doing excellent, Billy. Great to be with you, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. I very much appreciate it. And there's Coach Brandt. Coach, how are you doing?
Hey, sorry. I don't know why I didn't have a video or a mute button on. Maybe everybody figured out once I start talking, you can't mute me.
Hey, we love it. We absolutely love it. So just like the last group, we will start with the group question, posed to all three of you. And that question being, what's been the best piece of advice that you've received throughout your coaching career? And we will start with Coach Brandt. Coach Gates taught me to use my manners. So Coach, how about you go first?
You know, I was thinking about this question, and it's really hard to answer because I've gotten some amazing advice over the years from some phenomenal mentors that, Jim Steen, he's the winningest swim coach in NCAA history, despite Division 1, 2, and 3. My college coach, Coach Peter Lynn, who's retired, as well as my high school and club coaches, and of course, Wally Morton. But I don't think it's necessarily the words per se, but instead the actions, their actions and how they role modeled and how they are still coaches for me for life and still being there to help coach me as I coach our program in the present day and in the middle of this pandemic and into the future. And, my college coach, Peter Lynn, the other day, he's like, Hannah, if you ever figure out how to not take, the difficulties of the kids personally, please let me know, because we were talking about how hard it is that, none of us were given a handbook on how to lead our programs through a pandemic, and so to be able to still turn to coaches that have coached longer than I've been alive is amazing. So again, it's not their words, but it's more just the actions and how it comes from their hearts.
That's great. That's great. How about you, Coach Riggs?
Yeah, but that's a loaded question, man. I love that. It's a great question. There's a lot of ways we could go with this. I want to give you two things. And I got this advice my second year of coaching. I had a guy tell me, we were just kind of talking about, coaching at the college level. And he told me word for word, he said, if you don't love recruiting, you need to get out of coaching and go sell insurance. He said that would be a better career path for you. So, I think that was a big one for me. And that's something that I love to do. It's a cool opportunity that we have to recruit our student athletes and build the culture of our program. And something kind of more directed towards golf. My college coach, Pat Stevens, who I played for, he always told me as I was kind of learning to be a coach, he kind of said, less is always more in the game of golf. Our players have so many thoughts going through their mind anyways. And sometimes the worst things we can do is talk to them when they don't really need to be talked to. We just kind of need to let the horse run and go get it for themselves. So, but yeah, those are two things. Best advice I think I have got through my years. So
that's great. Thank you for sharing, Coach. And Finally, Coach Hudson, how about you?
Great answers by the other two. My college coach, Dennis Rice, was a huge influence. Also had influences from club coaches and just some other coaches that I have met throughout the process. Really, the best advice I've been given is it's about people and teaching people and really being a coach for life, not just the 4 years that you have them in college or the 6-7 months you're trying to recruit them, but it's being there for them, helping them, molding them through the college process, when they get married, when they have kids. I mean, I'm still in contact with kids I coached my first year in college at the College of Worcester. So it's just really being there, being a role model, and that's what my coaches did for me.
That's awesome. Thank you all for sharing those amazing pieces of advice. Let's move on to the individual questions, and we'll start again with Coach Brandt. So, Coach, correct me if I'm wrong. You have not one, but 2 alum on your staff. So, what's it like to have 2 former Vikings on your staff, and then how does that benefit your program?
What is it like? It's absolutely amazing. You know, I get schooled every day by our history. I was a math major in school, so I wasn't necessarily a history person. So it's amazing to be able to have living history around me. Rich Carbon is a Hall of Fame diver. He is truly what it means to be a Viking for life. And he and I talk about riding into the sunset as coaches together with this program. And Peter graduated in 2012, which was the year before our men won the conference championship in 2013. And Wally Morton, kind of really had a conversation with Peter his senior year to be like, hey, dude, you're a film major, but like, what do you really want to do with life? Kind of have that conversation about what he saw in Peter and thinking that Peter would be a great coach, and that spark, right? And how those conversations changed his senior year into kind of asking Peter his thoughts and kind of, hey, this is what I'm going to do. What do you think? Or how do you view this? And really just kind of priming and prepping him. And, so having Peter and Rich to be able to be that living history and really know in their heart what it means to have a degree and to have the experiences of what only Cleveland State can give. But then also get corrected on my facts all the time because I don't always get history facts right. But it's a ball, and even Wally Morton is still he's like the great grandfather of our swim program, and to still have him around is he didn't swim here, but he is so much ingrained into the fabric of our program and our university that as a brand new head coach to be able to come in here and have these guys around me. I feel like the luckiest person in the whole world. And I can't not give a shout out to Ben Coley, our other assistant, who a little bit more on the greener side when it comes to coaching, but having graduated in 2016 and swam for UNC and having, been to the best of the best meets in the world, he brings a whole different breath of fresh air into our program. So you put us all together, and that's where the magic really happens. So trying to do right by our legacy and our heritage, but to build something even bigger and better for our future. We wouldn't be able to do it without our alumni and supporters. And super excited to be able to talk about the state of our program tomorrow. And I know our alumni are really excited for that with Al tomorrow.
That's awesome. Thank you, Coach. And I can vouch for Coach Brandt. She is a math person. She taught me math in high school. So Coach Riggs, if any of your golf numbers are ever, messed up, you know who taught me math. And that's a great segue to you, Coach Riggs. Coach, last season was your first official season as a head coach, and it was cut short, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. So what are you looking forward to most then about this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you it kind of stunk being down in spring break in Orlando and kind of getting that call to come home. Like everybody, it was just kind of one of those things. It was very bizarre, and it's, one of those things that you kind of have to deal with. But I think for our players and for myself, I think we're just ready to kind of, this fall has kind of been an interesting fall for us because it's very rare for us to go a long period of time without playing. You know, we play in the fall and in the spring. So the approach that we've kind of taken as a program is, you know, how much growth can we have as from a player development standpoint, you know, kind of heading into the spring season. You know, this fall was a unique opportunity where our players could really work on some specific things. So I think, you know, kind of looking into the spring, you know, when we do get to play, you know, my big thing for our players is are we going to be prepared? You know, and I think we will be for sure. But I think our players, you know, getting tired of it, looking forward to playing someone else. And at some point we will get to do that. You know, but I think it's just having that mindset of, okay, we're going to tee it up at some point, and whenever that is, we're all going to be as prepared as possible, and we're going to be ready to roll. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to the spring season and competing for Horizon League championship and kind of getting our name in there and kind of, you know, getting in the dirt and figuring it out. You know, I think that's a big thing in golf is you just have to figure out your game, and it is an individual sport for us, but it is a team concept. You know, we are a team at the end of the day. So we're trying to win Horizon League championships and, you know, make a name for Cleveland State women's golf. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Coach. And kind of speaking to an individual sport, but also a team sport, Coach Hudson, head coach of our cross country program. Coach, a question for you here is, you know, student athletes, they often have a lot on their schedule, right? So can you talk about the importance of balancing those three C's, competition, classroom, and the community, kind of speaking to that transformational experience that we're trying to provide our student athletes?
Right. Our women are pretty good at balancing all of those things. Of course, right now it's been a challenge with the competition piece of things because we haven't competed since March. It'll be so much like Coach Riggs said, it's a really long time frame, about 9 months until from our last competition once we get going again. That's something I think is really important, being able to balance all three of those things, because obviously class is very important. I mean, that's why people are here as academics, and being a distance runner, much like swimmers, you've got to be focused. You've got to, it's pretty lonely being out there doing miles and miles by yourself, running long repeats and knowing that, okay, what's the next thing I have to do? It's like, we got to do practice. We're practicing at 6:30 in the morning. Then they've got to go to class. Then they've got to go to work. Then we got to get work done. So it's balancing all three of those things really truly makes all of our student athletes here at Cleveland State truly student athletes and not just athletes.
Awesome. Well, we have time for just one more very quick question. We'll go around the horn here. Coaches, favorite restaurant in Cleveland? We'll start with Coach Brand again.
Well, if you've ever been around my program, our icebreaker is ice cream, and it turns into a pretty heated debate. I'm going to say Honey Hut all the way. Honey Hut, done.
Okay.
Easy.
I respect that. Coach Riggs?
Not going food. I'm going ice cream. Honey Hut. And if anybody wants to bribe me, Honey Hut.
If my wife ever sees this and if she says, if I don't say Barrio, I will be assaulted. You won't ever hear from me again. But I will say DeBella's Subs has the best sandwiches in the world. I am a big fan. I've gone there. I've had spans where I go there like 10 days in a row, and that is terrible. But I love DeBella's Subs. They're awesome. So.
Coach Riggs, I believe.
Jumping on the food. You do mean like the Godfather, right? On the everything bread.
Yes. Always the Godfather. Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Coach Riggs, I believe Bob Heller is on the call. I'm sure you made him very happy by dropping DeBella's Subs. How about you, Coach Hudson?
The best restaurant, I think, in Cleveland, it's a little on the outskirts, but it's in Cleveland Heights. It's a restaurant called Tommy's. They also have, on the ice cream note, they have the best milkshakes in Cleveland as well.
That's very good to know.
No, Honey Hut. No. No.
Well, we'll let the three of you settle this debate offline because unfortunately we have to move on to our third group of coaches. But Coach Brandt, Coach Hudson, Coach Riggs, thank you so much for joining us this evening. So two groups done. We still have two more groups of coaches to go. And in this next group of coaches, we welcome Coach Chuck Voss from our volleyball program, Coach Amber Williams from track and field, and Coach Josh Moore from wrestling. So again, don't go anywhere yet. We still have two more groups of coaches. Coach Voss, Coach Williams, Coach Moore in this next group, then a few more in the following. Again, I told you I'd be doing this all night, but if you want to follow us on social media at CSU_athletics, I would love it. Be sure to give us a like, a retweet, follow, all of it. But it looks like we have some of our coaches hopping on right now. All right, I see Coach Moore. I see Coach Williams. How are you two doing?
I'm doing well. Billy, how are you?
I am great.
Awesome, awesome. And there's Coach Voss. Coach, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great.
Good, good. So, this group question. In our last session, as you heard, we asked our coaches, what's the best advice that they've received throughout their coaching career? So on the flip side of that, what's a piece of advice that you'd give to someone who's looking to get into coaching your sport at the collegiate level? And we'll start with Coach Williams.
Oh, geez, I would say make sure that you're getting into it for them and not for yourself. And maybe it's just a track and field thing. We have kind of big egos, and because it's everything we do is very just power based. It's racing, it's jumping, it's throwing, it's everything you've been doing since you were a child, and proving that you were better than the next person. So I think that's kind of the foundation that's kind of within track and field coaches. At least I can say that much. But anyone who's trying to get into whatever sport they're deciding to go ahead and coach, I would say to make sure that you're putting your ego aside and making sure you're making it about them. If you make it about those student athletes, then I think that will make you a fantastic coach. You'll know what to do with them physically, you'll know how to deal with them mentally, and how to help them get through whatever they're getting through by putting them first and kind of keeping them, at the center of everything that you're doing. So I would say just make sure yes, you are the head and you're trying to make them better, but make sure that in everything that you're doing, you're making it about those kids first.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Coach Williams. How about you, Coach Moore?
I'll say this, I guess with my sport, I would just tell anybody that was looking to be a wrestling coach that be prepared to continue to work out almost like you did in college. And you have to be in shape and be ready to, show some of the young guys up in the room once in a while. But in general, I guess I would tell anybody that wanted to get into collegiate coaching to kind of sit down with, multiple coaches, wrestling coaches, and find out what really goes into the coaching aspect. And a lot of people think they want to be coaches and they think it's their dream job, but a lot of those kids in high school or college think that it's kind of just being in the room or on the field, teaching kids and going to the games and enjoying all the excitement. But as we know, as coaches, there's so much more that goes into it. You have to wear many different hats, from coaching to the nutrition side, to the weightlifting side, to planning, budgeting, a lot of great stuff. And which is great. I think it's important that kids know that they're going to be learning a lot of different skills as a coach, and skills that will help them the rest of their lives. So just kind of like do some job shadowing, just like any other job. And that's something you really see yourself doing long term.
Great. Thank you, Coach. And finally, Coach Voss, how about you?
Yeah, I received this advice when I was 21 years old, and it's if your players are not doing what you want, look in the mirror. And basically, what it means is that rather than get upset at your players, find a new way to get through to your players so that they're doing what you want them to. Rather than blame them, find a way. And I just think it's so true in coaching, but it's also true in life, you know, and other things, other endeavors that we do, that there's ways to get through to other people. Everyone learns differently. Everyone sees things differently. And as a coach or mentor or whatever it is, it's your job to find ways to get through to different people.
Awesome. Well, thank you, coaches, for sharing that. And if we have any future coaches on the call tonight, I'm sure they appreciate it as well. Now let's dive into the individual questions. First one up is Coach Williams. Coach, just like my question with Coach Riggs in the last group. So last year was your first year as head coach at Cleveland State. Now, although it was a shortened season, what are you most excited about continuing this upcoming year?
Gosh, I just feel like there was so much unfinished business last year. With the progress that those girls made. I should say young women made just during the indoor season. It was awesome to see, kind of, even in my short period of time of being at Cleveland State, just seeing everything that we were able to accomplish. Those girls, getting those plaques and those trophies, or getting on the podium. It was awesome to see. So I'm just looking forward to really feeling like I'm here from the beginning. I'm really getting in at the foundation of it all, and now being able to really see what I can build within these young women from the ground up, and hopefully kind of finish what we started with some of them. The program's still so young and new, and so it's just been great to kind of see the growth. And I think this year will also help me see what lies ahead in the future for the track and field program as well.
That's great. Well, I know we are all excited to see what lies ahead in the future for your program, Coach. And moving along now to the next question we have. This is for you, Coach Moore, and it's a fan question. So this past season was your first as an associate member of the Mid-American Conference, aka MACtion. How was that experience for you, and what opportunities does this new conference present for your program going forward?
Overall, it was a great experience. We were in the EWL for the longest time, and just joining a new conference and, seeing different competition, and for the most part, better competition, which we thought really prepared us for the end of the year at the MAC championships, which we wrestled the best and competed the best that we had all year. So I guess the advantages would be the level of competition, seeing better kids, seeing better programs, and then the opportunity for our guys to qualify a spot for the national tournament. We wrestled from November till March, and all those matches truly matter to us, but the matches that happen in March at the MAC championships and at the NCAA championships really are the matches that are remembered by the kids wrestling, the coaches, and the fans and alumni. So just a bigger and better opportunity for our student athletes to compete against better competition and compete on a higher stage. A lot of times these MAC matches are on ESPN or are televised more than our previous conference. So just more media exposure overall. And we look forward to building on that momentum. We have 7 MAC place winners returning next year, and 6 of those guys are underclassmen. And then the most exciting news we just got today was that Cleveland will be hosting the national tournament in 2026. So we have 5 years to continue getting better. Some of these freshmen on our team right now, because of the waiver, they could possibly wrestle in that event in 2026. But just excited about Cleveland and all the great wrestling in Northeast Ohio, and just build our program back to one of the best programs, not only in the state, but in the country in the next couple of years.
That's awesome. Thank you, Coach. And finally, Coach Voss. So your team is heavily involved in the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, especially Senior Hallie Shane, who serves as the president. So talk about the importance of being involved with not only the athletic department, but also the university on a larger scale outside of volleyball.
I mean, Hallie, Lindsay, and Hannah, they're just tremendous people, and they represent our team so well, but also the university. Things that they are working on in SAC, they certainly help within our own team. And I believe vice versa. A lot of things that we have tried to teach them about being leaders and doing things, not only to help themselves, but also their teammates, also go through to SAC and through the university, trying to build bridges, trying to do things, trying to be great teammates, not only within the volleyball program, but also within SAC and other athletes, and also the other students and faculty and staff on campus.
Awesome. Well, Coach, and I know that you are one of the coaches on the newly created Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. So I'm sure, it's very much appreciated, you and your team's leadership on campus. And I got the producer in my ear saying we got time for one more quick question. So again, we'll go around the horn about, what's your favorite restaurant here in the city? And we'll start with Coach Williams again.
Oh man, it's got to be Chicago's. My parents are from Birmingham, Alabama. Soul food has my heart, man. It's got to be Chicago's. First restaurant I came to when I first moved here because it wasn't far from campus, so great for me. and yeah, it tastes like love. It tastes like home.
Awesome. Thank you. How about you, Coach Moore?
So, I mean, I think our go-to recently for recruits has been the Masthead Brewery, just stopping in there, getting some pizza, hanging out. So that's a good one. And then the Butcher and the Brewer downtown on 4th Street, partially owned by a wrestling guy. So always good to stop in there. They got some amazing food, amazing meats, and a lot of other great food as well. So I guess really can't go wrong with anything down on 4th Street.
Awesome. And what about you, Coach Voss?
For economics, I love Barrio. I love Slyman's. If you have an anniversary date with your wife, the Marble Room is a great choice. It's a fantastic steakhouse. So.
All good to know. I'm asking this question because I'm a newlywed, and my favorite restaurant is Chipotle. So my wife, I got to find some more places. So I appreciate you guys answering that question. Unfortunately, though, that's all the time that we have for this group. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. It was great catching up with the three of you. But now, again, it's time to introduce our final round of coaches tonight. We have 4 coaches joining us in this next group. And before we introduce the coaches, after tonight, the athletic communications team, we will slice and dice these videos. We'll post them on our social media channels. We'll post them on our website. So in case you miss anything or you want to rewatch something, they will be there for you to watch. So in our final group of coaches tonight, we have Coach Contraseer, who's representing women's soccer. Head coach Chris Kilsmeyer of our women's basketball team, Coach Brian Edskin from men's tennis, and the lacrosse head man, Andy German. So I see a few of them are starting to pop on now. All right. I believe we're just missing Coach Edskin, and then we can get this party started and on cue. Coaches, how are you all doing tonight? Doing well?
Doing good. Yeah, doing well.
We're good, Billy. Thanks for having us.
Good.
I'm always great. It's time to talk Cleveland State athletics. Let's do it.
Are there any balls for the girls to use? Are they all behind you? Anybody able to shoot in the gym, or you stole them all?
Yeah, I'm a collector of basketballs.
I see that. That means you've done enough good things, huh?
My decorations aren't as cool as yours.
Well, I had some art projects today, so don't judge me.
Well, thank you again, coaches, for hopping on tonight. And this first question that goes to the group. Coaches, you all have had great success here at Cleveland State. With that being said, what's been your favorite Cleveland State coaching moment? And we'll go with Coach K first.
Beating Wright State to go to the conference tournament semifinals in Indianapolis, and just kind of the culmination of our 2 years of getting to that moment. We certainly knew that we had that in us. We just had to go out and prove it. We had competed with Wright State, who's perennial top team in the league, and we just hadn't been able to get over the hump. So to beat them, that was by far my personal moment. I think if you ask our players, that was certainly a moment too. I told one of them at the end of it, I said, they were celebrating on the court, and I said, make sure you act like you've been here before. And they were quick to tell me, Coach, we've never been here before. So it's a pretty special moment for us, and we certainly want to build off of that going into this year.
That's great. Thank you, Coach. How about you, Coach Contraseer?
So it would be 2018. We had never won a conference tournament game in the small years that we've been around as a program. And not only did we make it, we had a first round bye, and then beating Detroit to go to the conference championship in 2018 was easily the highlight of my time here so far.
Great. Thank you. What about you, Coach Etzkin?
Well, there's been I was thinking about this question a little bit as the others were talking, and there's been some great moments since I've been here. And I was thinking a lot about our championship in 2013, and there's probably some equal moments to it, but this one was a lot of fun. We were down, and then we were up, and then we were down, and our guy, remember Nicholas Johnson, had the deciding point and came back from what seemed to be out of it for sure, and came back and won the match. And just how much fun it was to run onto the court. And Chris, we didn't act like we'd been there before that day. We all jumped up and down like children, and it was an awesome moment. But those moments where you get to experience a championship, or just a moment that's fun and you get to jump up and down. You don't get that in any other profession. And as a player on the team, those moments will be the moments they take on forever, because in the real world, you don't get those kind of moments.
I want to know how he was able to pick one. Just look at his ring case, right?
There's another segment. I was
going to put my rings on the wall behind me like those basketballs.
Well, thank you, Coach. And finally, Coach German, how about you?
Yeah, I think we haven't gotten to the conference championship stuff, but the first game in program history back in early February 2017 was Coach talked about the culmination of 2 years of what he was building, and that moment as we walked from the locker room to the field and into our onto Krensler in the bubble to play Michigan was the culmination of almost 2 years of we showed up to Cleveland State and there was no lacrosse players here, and we had no goals, no balls, no nothing. And then, a short time later, we're walking into a packed bubble against Michigan. There was a lot of emotions that day, and we went up 1-0, and it might as well have been the national championship. I don't know what the final score was; it doesn't matter. But that moment of walking across campus and into the bubble that day was definitely something I'll never forget.
That's awesome, Coach. That actually kind of leads me into the individual questions for you. Lacrosse, like you mentioned, it's a fairly new program here at Cleveland State. And you just had your first senior class graduate, so congratulations on that. Now, with that being said, what kind of opportunity does it provide for them that they can now be ambassadors for this lacrosse program moving forward?
Yeah, it's huge, and those guys will carry that with them forever. Right, they'll always be the first class to graduate, from a lacrosse perspective from Cleveland State. So they can carry that with a lot of pride. And I think what they can use it as is they can tell that story over and over again. Right, they were at the beginning, they were at the foundation of building this thing. And so when these guys get out into the community or they get out into job interviews, right, they have a story to tell, and it's one that. If there was somebody who's interested in lacrosse or just sports in general, it's something that they can connect with. Or if it's somebody that's, starting a company from the ground up, they can connect with that. And so hopefully they can take some of the lessons and the highs and the lows, and some of those experiences we had, and use it in all facets of their life. And I know they will.
That's great, Coach. Thank you. Let's move on now to a coach, Contrasier. Coach, so you are the assistant coach on our women's soccer team, plus an assistant coach / goalkeeper coach, our men's program. So what's it like, and how's it been to be part of both programs?
It's been pretty awesome. I mean, being able to kind of contribute on both sides is a good opportunity to be able to help both programs. I mean, being full time with the women's staff and being under Dallas, the head coach is amazing. He's been a great mentor towards me, and I've been able to kind of grow and learn from him since I've been here, way back in just being the goalkeeper coach on the women's team. And then when Sanisha asked me to come help out on the goalkeeper side on the men's program, if the hours worked out, I was going to be able to do it. And luckily, being able to make everything work out and kind of help both programs has been great. I'm really close with the goalkeepers and the rest of the guys on the men's staff and the men's players, and being able to kind of do double duty. I've only once been able to do both games in the same day. I was at IUPUI. Luckily, we played a doubleheader at IUPUI last year, so that was a long day for me. But it's been good. There's a good group of guys on the men's side, great group of girls on the women's side, and both are led by extremely well-rounded people. Both staffs are great. I couldn't ask for anybody better as bosses with Sanisha and Dallas. So it's an amazing, and to be honest, not many bosses would have let me try to attempt to do both. The fact that Dallas allows me to do both and Sanisha kind of allows me to work around my schedule, it's been tremendous, and I can only thank them for the opportunity to be able to do that.
That's awesome. Thank you, Coach, for sharing. Coach Kilsmeyer, your team had a tremendous season last year. So how do you carry that over into this season and then hopefully improve on that performance?
Well, I think a lot of it starts with, managing what we've had to go through over the last 7 months. The words that we've tried to surround our program with is adjust, adapt, overcome, and ultimately conquer. And, we're being tested right now as coaches, players, really just humans, just throw the athletic piece out of it. We're being challenged. So I think the first thing is you got to manage everything that's going on in the world with the pandemic, and make sure that, you're putting yourself in a position to be in a great place as a student, first and foremost, long before you get to the gym. And when you get to the gym, you just got to value those times that you're there together with each other and really make the most of the opportunities to try to get better. But, it's championship games aren't won on game days. They're won long before that with the prep and everything that goes into it. And it's just about a way of life. It's how you go about doing things from the day you get up, from the time you get up each and every morning to the time you go to sleep. What do you get accomplished? And, you've got to have a plan. You got to be focused, and you got to go out and really execute that plan. I'm proud of what our players done. And this is certainly a big year for us.
Well, Coach, basketball season's right around the corner, and best of luck to your team moving forward. I'm excited to watch you all play.
I was really enjoying this call until you had to tell me basketball is right around the corner. Like, geez, Louise.
My bad, Coach.
I need more time.
Right. Oh, and finally, Coach Edskin. Again, last but certainly not least, your team has won back-to-back Horizon League titles and has finished as a top team in the region for the last few years. So what's the most important part of putting together a championship team and then being able to sustain that level of play over the years?
Yeah, thanks. A good question. Thanks for having us all tonight on this panel. There's a couple things that go into it, and one are you need players who are going to work hard and players who are going to get along. And I think those are the two biggest things you need from your players. It's work to get along, and it's work to come to practice every day and work hard and not take days off. So I think that's number one. Two, a supportive administration. Over the years, the better we've done, the more and more support we've gotten little by little over the years. So we've been able to keep building, and we haven't become stagnant. And also, like our alumni and our supporters, I think it's huge that they stay involved. And I think you heard earlier from Coach Victoria Bensman from who's coaching with the women, is that, having that indoor facility and being able to pack the house now and being able to play in front of fans, it just gives it new life. And lastly, just finding new goals to shoot for. And it's been a fun ride, but we felt like COVID took a championship from us this last year, and we're going to come back strong and get one this year.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Coach. And I hear we have time for one more question, but I'm not going to ask about the restaurants. I would love to know, if you could coach another sport, what would it be? Coach or play another sport, what would it be? And I saw Coach German unmuted himself, so we'll start with Coach German. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think let me think. Coach Edson's got a pretty good. Coach Weir's got a pretty good from the golf perspective. Maybe taking Coach Gates's gig, right? He's got he gets to coach inside, and he gets nice cushy environments, and he's got nice suits, and he's got an army of people with him to help assist them, and he's got the best so yeah, I think it'd be pretty good to be Coach Gates.
All right. How about you, Coach Edskin?
I've been watching a lot of soccer lately because my son's been playing soccer and enjoying that a lot. So that's one choice. But I think what I would do is resurrect baseball and become a baseball coach. I'm a baseball fan at heart, and I love being around the ball field.
Awesome. Coach Kilsmeyer?
I guess I'd have to choose at this point in time in my career, who wouldn't want to be a scratch golfer, right? Like, I try to keep up with Renee. I hear she's pretty good.
I hear she's a fantastic golfer too. I hear she had a nice game last week.
That's what I hear.
Finally, Coach Contras, how about you?
I would definitely do basketball. A lot of the movement patterns that you get from basketball, and we have a lot of success with turning basketball players at young ages into soccer players when they get older, because the movement patterns are very similar. The way that the plays are drawn up, we don't necessarily have plays in soccer, but if you really know what you're looking for in a basketball game, the amount of practice that goes into what they're trying to do, and the coordination and the everything in terms of the way it's choreographed is very much indoor soccer, hockey-ish. So instead of just following the ball, watching people off the ball, watch the off-ball movement, I think basketball would definitely be what I would look to do.
Listen to that. He sounds like he's got time for a third sport on campus. Come on over, Coach.
There it is. Well, coaches, thank you all so much for participating tonight. To the four of you, to all of our coaches who participated in this roundtable, and thank you to the fans who tuned in, submitted questions. And as always, like I said, for even more green and white content, check us out online at csuvikings.com or on social media at CSU_athletics. Go Vikes.